Hey guys, this is Two Kids in a Trench Coat, a football podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jacob Rosenthal.
I'm your other host, Ryan Sharp.
And I'm the producer, Josh Zaklis.
Happy to have Josh back with us today.
Thank goodness.
So before we get into our recap of this previous week's games, we've got some big trade news floating around the NFL. A couple have been done already, a couple more might be in the works. I guess the biggest one so far is Amari Cooper being dumped by the Raiders, but in exchange for a first-round pick from Dallas. What do you think of this trade?
Yeah, that was a freaking swindle for Gruden. I don't know how he pulled this one off. He found the one organization dumber than the Raiders, too.
Yep. I remember last week we were talking about how Jerry Jones is an idiot and how it must be tough to tell your dad that he's an idiot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just Jerry Jones did nothing to prove us wrong in the 8 days since we brought that up on the podcast.
No, I think he's actually verified it.
Yeah, exactly. He has proved us right.
Yeah, definitely.
I do not understand this. The Cowboys are looking like they're going to have, at least a top 15 pick.
Yeah.
And I just don't think Amari Cooper is worth that. He's probably worth a third,
If
maybe.
That, yeah.
So what I do like about this trade, at least as a Dolphins fan, I don't know how likely this is now with Albert Wilson potentially done for the season. Devontae Parker's on the trading block as well, just another first-round wide receiver. Miami was asking a third for him, but the fact that the Raiders were able to get a first for Cooper, I think that changes the wide receiver market a huge amount.
Oh, significantly, I'd have to think. Physically, Amari Cooper has produced slightly more than Devontae Parker. I think we forget how good his rookie and his first 2 seasons were, but he's significantly dropped off, and right now, you'd have a real hard time convincing me that Amari Cooper is more naturally talented than Devontae Parker.
Exactly.
So, if the freaking Raiders can fetch a first for him, I'd be hard-pressed that the Dolphins couldn't at least get a second.
Yep. I was a huge proponent of Devontae Parker on the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think this, obviously, that kills any hope of that. And I think it kills any shot the Dolphins have at a first, because I don't think anyone else in the league is dumb enough to ship off a first-round pick for Devontae Parker.
Yeah, that's the big shame of this if you're a Dolphins. If you're literally any other team that's looking to trade with the Cowboys, the Raiders nabbed their best asset. That's impressive.
Yep. So another big trade happening. The Giants finally did it. They finally got rid of Eli Apple. I'm sure you've heard that joke a million times, but I had to make it.
No, I bet this is the first time many of our listeners are hearing that joke. I bet they're cackling right now.
All right.
As much as I was the first time I heard that joke, because I think that's
I was so excited. I was like, yes!
Because Adam Schefter tweeted that exact thing. He tweeted, the Giants have traded Eli, ... and then nothing. Freaking Adam Schefter, the NFL guy, is just teasing all of us.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But yeah, I actually thought that was a pretty good trade for the Giants.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Fetched the 4th and the 7th for Eli Apple. Not horrible for a guy everyone kind of considers a locker room cancer.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say too. They literally said locker room cancer.
Yeah.
So definitely a good deal for the Giants. And the Saints were heavily in that cornerback market. I know they're going after Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, interesting move. Obviously I don't think you were getting Patrick Peterson for a 4th and 7th, but interesting call to dedicate your resources towards Eli Apple.
When you still have Patrick Peterson on the table.
And not even Patrick Peterson, yes, but also Janoris Jenkins is on the table. Yeah. Bradley Roby's talked about being on the table. The cornerback market is surprisingly deep this year in the trade pool, because we've never really seen a true a thorough NFL trade deadline. We never really see the activity like we see in the NBA. And so I think we're starting to see that now more, and this quarterback market is deep.
Yep.
Yeah, as an Eagles fan, I am very happy that the Saints made that trade, because Patrick Peterson said he wanted to go to New Orleans, and now he might not be able to because the Saints just might not have the assets or whatever. They've depleted their assets a little bit.
They already gave up their first in the Marcus Davenport trade.
Exactly.
So they're already looking at a rough draft.
I like the Eagles' chances more, but I wouldn't say he's going to the Eagles.
That'd be interesting. I hadn't heard a whole lot of Patrick Peterson and the Eagles talk. That could be real interesting, though.
Yep. A take you had yesterday regarding a trade after Amari Cooper was shipped off. There's rumors that Derek Carr and John Gruden don't get along. Do you think there's the potential for Carr to be traded, and if so, where is he going?
Everything we've been hearing out of Oakland is that they don't want to trade him, that Gruden has grown fond of Carr, and that they have a real connection, and I don't know how much I'm believing that, but I think if the Jaguars call up the Raiders right now and say, hey, we'll give you our first this year, for Derek Carr, I think the Raiders have serious talks about it.
I would agree with that.
Especially with how much of a dumpster fire Jacksonville's looking right now. I did understand that Derek Carr going there would drastically improve that pick, or drastically decrease the value of that pick. Sorry, but I think that's probably a risk they're willing to take to get their fourth first round pick this year. That'd be nutty.
Yep. I agree. Like, Derek Carr obviously makes Jacksonville better, but still 4 first-round picks in the same draft is just unheard of, and I think that's hard to pass up.
I would have to think so. I mean, I bet Jacksonville would even go as high as 2 firsts, if we're being honest.
Interesting.
Like, I mean, they're staring down the barrel of the gun. I mean, and that gun is Cody Kessler at quarterback. That's terrifying. If you're a legit team with playoff aspirations, the idea that Cody Kessler is sniffing first-team reps is pathetic.
Yeah, so I'm definitely behind Jacksonville going after Carr. I think that would be fun. I don't know if it actually happens, though.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it actually happens. One thing I want to bring up about trades, and kind of harping back to our first thing with Amari Cooper, I think an interesting thought experiment is what first-round picks could the Cowboys have gotten with that first? Because obviously they were able to land Amari Cooper, but I think we can all come to the consensus that they could have landed a significantly better quarterback or better wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were throwing around names. Do you think Odell Beckham gets traded for the Cowboys first?
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at that.
Me either. Do you think Stephon Diggs gets traded for the Cowboys first?
I don't think the Vikings trade Stephon Diggs, but I think Stephon Diggs is the caliber receiver you would give up for a first.
Interesting. Okay, I can get behind that. I thought the most interesting one, though, was DeAndre Hopkins. Did the Houston Texans trade Nuke for the Cowboys' probably top 15 pick?
That's interesting. Man. I'm going to have to go with yes.
Me too. I'm inclined to say yes, which is crazy. Which is absolutely nutty that they walked away with Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
When DeAndre Hopkins is in the conversation. And they're like, nope, we got Amari Cooper. That's just as good. That's crazy. That is the most inept job I've seen this year from an NFL franchise.
And we're only a week 7.
Exactly. So there's so much time, Browns or Raiders or
Bills. Well, the Bills already started Nathan Peterman.
That is true. Yeah, so. That's a very close second place.
Yeah. I can at least see the logic behind maybe not throwing out your rookie quarterback week 1, but other than that, close second. But
yeah,
Amari Cooper for a first. Great move for Reggie McKenzie.
Yeah, shout out to Reggie McKenzie.
And terrible move for the Cowboys' fake GM, Jerry Jones.
I think you made a very astute point earlier, especially when this trade just broke. You were talking about how we shouldn't be giving John Gruden the credit for this. I mean,
no, absolutely not.
Reggie McKenzie is the person we need to be thanking or Oakland Raiders fans should be thanking for delivering them this pick because that was just highway robbery.
They say Gruden controls the 2019 draft. If they let John Gruden anywhere near the 2019 draft, I'm going to have serious issues.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, but he would have taken Derwin James. Not a lot of people know that. John Gruden wanted to take Derwin James, but someone talked him off the ledge. That's what he says anyway. I don't know how true that actually is. Actually, I do know how true that is. Not at all. That's bull crap. No way he actively pushed for Derwin James and then didn't take him. But
yeah,
that's a different conversation.
Yep. We'll have that one coming up. When we're bored in the summer. So who should the Raiders have? Or we'll do a redraft. That'll be fun.
That'll be really fun, actually.
So for now, I think it's time we can start talking about some games or at least some performances. Last week, we said, Steve Wilkes, you need to go out there, or let Josh Rosen go out there and let him do his thing. And he finally did it, and it was a disaster.
Yeah.
This is the most wrong I felt about a take for a while.
No, okay, here's the thing. I don't know if we're wrong, if we're going to be 1,000% honest. Von Miller just destroyed any semblance of life in that game for the Cardinals offense. I mean, he was able to single-handedly kind of strangle anything they were trying to do.
But the picks...
3 picks, 2 fumbles, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. That's a rough outing.
So I guess I haven't lost all my confidence in Josh Rosen, but I definitely have a lot less than I did 10 days ago.
Definitely. I'm trying to remember where our pre-draft rankings lied. I feel like we definitely both had... I know personally I had Darnold ahead of him. I don't think I had Baker ahead of him though, and I don't know...
Yeah, at one point I had him going second to the Giants.
Oh, yeah, that was a glorious time. Remember when we had Saquon going first to the Browns?
Yeah.
That was a beautiful time. But yeah, sorry, off track. Back to this game. Rough showing from Rosen. This was the exact opposite of what you'd want to see.
Yeah, it's not even like he struggled and showed signs of, like potential. It's just he was bad.
Yeah, he was really, really bad. His final stat line, 21 for 39, 194 yards, a touchdown, and 3 picks.
Yeah. I think a lot of Rosen's poor performance is probably luckily for him overshadowed by the stellar performance by the Broncos defense.
Yeah.
Like you said, Von Miller just ruined Josh Rosen's night.
Yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. He came out pregame talking about how much he was going to destroy the Cardinals offense, and he did it.
Yeah.
He is so freaking talented.
2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles.
Yeah. He's incredible.
Great night for Von Miller. A couple defensive touchdowns for the Broncos. Nabbed me 33 fantasy points. That's always fun.
Just an overall ass woman, and it's bad times in Arizona.
Yeah, it's not looking great for the Cardinals. I forget if you said it on the podcast or just to me personally. Steve Wilkes one and done.
He might be. He might be if we're being honest. I don't think. I mean, Mike McCoy's already gone. I don't think they're seeing anything from this offense that excites them. I think the schemes are looking uninspired and simplistic. Josh Rosen's just not being put in the best situations to succeed. I mean, David Johnson is getting run into the ground. 14 carries for 39 yards.
They're literally running him into the ground too, just straight into the back of the line.
Yeah. We talked about that graphic right before the game or right after the game. I mean, I think 80% of his runs were between the tackles, and you compare that to some of the more innovative offenses in the league. And that's just the exact opposite of where they're going.
Unless I see some major changes, or Cardinals ownership, or everyone sees major changes from Steve Wilkes, I think he's likely on his way out at the end of this year.
Is Jim Tomsula the last one and done coach?
Chip Kelly went one and done.
No, Chip Kelly was there for a few years.
With the Niners?
Oh, with the Niners.
With the Niners. Was he one and done with the Niners?
The Niners have had 2 one and dones.
Wow, that's
rough.
That is really bad. Yikes. Jim whenever someone says though one and done NFL coaches, Jim Tomsula. He is just the epitome of that.
Mine is Cam Cameron.
Okay.
1-15, that Dolphins team, that was real bad.
Mike Mularkey with the Jaguars in 2012. 2-14 and out the door immediately. Hugh Jackson. This is going to be some breaking news for you, but Hugh Jackson's not very good at coaching.
Breaking news for Hugh.
He actually went 8-8 with the Raiders the 1 year he was fired. That's pretty impressive.
That was a weird weird firing for the Raiders.
Yeah.
And then they brought in Tony Sperano in the interim.
Right. And he was honestly the best bunch of that. He was the best coach of that bunch. He was him and Jack Del Rio when I think of good Raiders coaches in the last couple of years.
Yeah, for sure.
Tony Sperano is definitely grouped in that.
So I guess
moving on.
Some talk about the Raiders. They're another AFC West team. Your San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers, traveling to London to take on the Titans. Escape with the 1-point win. Knock them off 20-19. What did you think of this game? You woke up to watch the whole thing. I did not.
I did. I had to. But this was an interesting game, mostly in the fact that in similar to all London games, it's just kind of weird, just kind of a strange game. The Titans' game plan for basically the entire first half was, not exclusively the first half, but it really shined through in the first half, was their ball control and pounding the clock. The Chargers had 4 possessions in the first half. 2 of them were one plays. Their first possession of the game was a 75-yard touchdown. Their last possession of the half was a 1-play kneel. So essentially, the Chargers had 2 possessions in the first half. That's kind of ridiculous. The Titans, like I said, the Titans' entire strategy was keeping the ball out of Phillip Rivers' hands, and it almost worked.
Almost. They did have the chance to tie the game with about 30 seconds left. They scored a touchdown, and instead Mike Vrabel decided to go for 2. What do you think of that decision?
I think in a vacuum, I think taking a risk as at the time 3-3 football team makes a lot of sense. Season kind of not hangs in the balance, but the difference between 4-3 and 3-4 I think are relatively substantial. So I like the idea, but I don't like it the way the Titans were playing that game. I think they had made some concerted efforts to get Mariota involved in the running game, but that was really their only effective offense. It was Mariota running the ball and Dion Lewis, and besides that, their offense was rough. And so if your crucial play, if your game-defining play doesn't include one of those 2 elements, what are you doing? How are you gonna have any confidence to get this 2-point conversion?
The other thing with that is that their offense had been just dreary throughout the entire game, kind of like the weather in London. And maybe Mike Vrabel just did not trust them to go out and score in overtime.
I mean, I can get behind
but
that.
I don't know. It's still weird. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you don't get it, you lose. But if you kick the extra point, then you still have, a chance to win the game. I just don't understand it completely.
Yeah,
I kind of see it, but I would have kicked.
I get the strategy. I get why they did it, but if you're going to do that, you have to have a better play call than what. I mean, they tried to run like double slants over the left, and
they had two chances
at
it
too. As well, and both plays were crap. Like the first one was the bad play calling signature roll out to the right, take away half the field.
Yeah,
and then the other one was just poor plays all around. I was so unimpressed with all of the coaching in London, if I'm gonna be honest.
Some terrible clock management at the end of that game.
By both coaches. Both coaches did not want to win this game.
Just
both
some weird timeouts taken.
Yeah, there was that one sequence with I think like 50-something seconds left where like the refs couldn't figure out who called a timeout, and they were just throwing out timeouts left and right, and it was very strange. But like for a second there, it looked like Anthony Lynn was
trying to stop the clock for the Titans.
Exactly, trying to help the Titans, and it was just a weird game that left me personally as a Chargers fan no more confident about Anthony Lynn and his prospects going forward. I think he is a bottom 10 NFL coach, and the Chargers are winning in spite of him, not because of him.
Interesting. So I guess moving on now, we talked about the Titans. All AFC South matchup between the Texans and the Jags. We both picked Jacksonville in this game, and Jacksonville lost 20-7. Houston, though, has won 4 straight.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better about my Houston Super Bowl pick. So I, kind of it sucks that I didn't get this pick correctly, but I'm pretty happy that I was wrong. Just because I feel like we learned more about the Jags and the Texans in this game. I don't want to speak for you, but I personally learned more about the Jaguars and the Texans in this game. But it's encouraging to see this sort of production.
Yep. I'm not sure about your Super Bowl pick, but the Texans, have gone from worst to first in the AFC South. And Jacksonville has just walked off a cliff.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, and their quarterback decision for next week is between Blake Bortles and Cody Kessler. We talked about that a good amount a couple minutes ago. I just don't see how there's any recovering from that.
Yeah. If you're trotting out Cody Kessler, it's time to pack it up, because that's just a death sentence right there. I don't care how dominant this defense is. Like, there's not, unless you're holding teams to 0 points literally every game, you're not going to win a whole lot of ball games.
Yeah. On top of the fact that, Leonard Fournette, one of their high-caliber offensive weapons, out for an extended period of time. Marquise Lee, arguably their best receiver, been done for the season for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
And just when you don't have those weapons for your below-average quarterback, then he's going to play below average. And then they're putting a belower average quarterback in to replace him. I just don't see how this season really pans out well for Jacksonville.
Man, remember when they beat New England? That was such a moment, I felt like, for this Jaguars team.
Yeah, like a turning point. Like, this is it. They're the new powerhouse.
Honestly, it was a turning point. Like, we all thought it was going to be this incredible moment where they avenged their AFC Championship game loss and broke through as the new class of the AFC. And just since that game, it's been total crap. It's crazy. I don't know what happened, but it must have all gone to Blake Bortles' head, and just he can no longer play. Yep. It's like Thunderstruck. He's been stuck with his powers, or Space Jam. Space Jam's probably better, not Thunderstruck.
Yeah, I'm not sure too many people know about Thunderstruck.
More people need to know about Thunderstruck. Kevin Durant is an actor, unparalleled.
Interesting.
But yeah, this has been. Oof, man, this Jaguar season's gone to crap in a sec.
Yeah, another team, I wouldn't say this team's season has gone to crap, but that would be the Eagles. Definitely Super Bowl hangover looking more and more probable. I don't know if it's that or if they're just not that great. Blowing a 17-0 lead to the Panthers. I would like to welcome Josh to the club of your team blowing 17-0 leads in the fourth quarter.
Thank you, Sharp. I have to say it's just incredibly frustrating. And I was to your Super Bowl hangover point, because I look up and down this team's roster, and it's not dramatically different than the team that won the Super Bowl last year.
I mean, one might say it's better.
Yes, some might say it's better. And I'm thinking about the Super Bowl hangover thing, and I think that's not true for players. I don't think players get a Super Bowl hangover. I think maybe the front office, maybe the organization, there's just kind of a lingering feeling of like we just won the biggest game that we possibly could win. So how much are we really going to put out 110% effort into this season? I mean, I'm sure they're putting 100% effort, but
But are they going to add that extra
10%?
10%? That is
that
the
extra
question.
10%. Yeah.
Okay. That is interesting analysis. I don't know if I agree or disagree, but blowing a 17-point fourth quarter lead is non-ideal.
Yeah,
It was frustrating to watch.
Did the Eagles blow a lead, or did the Panthers come back?
It kind of felt like the Eagles blew this, if I'm going to be honest. Like, watching this game and watching this collapse, like, it really did feel like there was some...
Defensively,
and then offensively, there was
going stagnant.
There was no spark. There was no creativity. There was no sort of, like, emphasis on easy completions or ball efficiency.
I saw, I think the Eagles ran 10 plays in the fourth quarter, 10 offensive plays. And I want to say one of them was a run. And you can't do that. If you have a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter, you need to be running the football, even if it's just 1 or 2 yard gains. That doesn't matter. You just need to keep the clock moving. That's your goal at that point. With 17 points, you're up by 3 scores.
Yeah,
it did seem like there were a lot of chances for them to kill some clock that they did not capitalize on.
To do. Yeah, I would think that has to do more with the lack of weapons at the running back position. I mean, their leading rusher Sunday was Wendell Smallwood with 32 yards, so not really a dynamic rushing attack from Philly. I would love to see them address that in the trade market. Like, even if they don't go after someone as elite as David Johnson or Le'Veon or something like that, it'd be really interesting to see them target some of the more...
Even going after a guy like T.J. Yeldon, or no, did he just get cut?
TJ, no.
Someone just got cut by Jacksonville. Jamal Charles.
Oh, Jamal Charles, yeah.
That's incorrect. I was wrong about T.J. Yeldon, but I don't know about Jamal Charles in Philly. But,
yeah, that could be interesting. But someone like Alfred Blue in Houston, someone who clearly has some talents, clearly has some ability. I think running backs at this juncture in the NFL are incredibly easy to find, and while I disagree fundamentally with giving up assets for a already known commodity, like what the Eagles would have to do if they traded for someone like Blue, I am for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. That's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to see the Eagles be active on the trade market. Maybe go and target some of the another piece. Wayne Gallman of the Giants. I don't know how apt the New York Football Giants would be to trade within their division, but someone like Wayne Gallman is incredibly talented, has that pedigree from Clemson, and is probably never going to get the fact that Saquon's there means he is never going to see the light of day. And so I'd love to see him freed on an offense where he's able to show off some of his skills.
Yep. So perhaps as impressive as the Eagles' collapse was, unimpressive was Cam Newton's play in the second half of this football game.
Yeah, he looked awesome. This was our 2015 MVP Cam right back in our faces. He was a commanding force in the offense. He was able to kind of take everyone under his wings and sort of orchestrate everything, and it was impressive. This was, like I said, this was a Cam I feel like we haven't seen in a minute.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. I just think we saw a Cam that just hasn't been around these past 2 years or so, and I just think he's tired of being average again. I think he wants to be elite again, and he's doing everything in his power to make sure that happens.
I was listening to another football podcast, and they were struggling to find wildcard teams in the NFC. They feel the NFC is wide open, and I kind of disagree. To me, the Panthers are not a playoff lock, but could be one of the most enticing teams in the NFC. Just because I love their composition, I love their weapons on the opposite side of the ball. I think they've really placed an emphasis in the past couple draft classes and free agency on getting Cam some weapons. And someone I don't know if I'm ready to say I'm wrong, but I'm pretty close, is Devin Funchess. I've been pretty down on Devin Funchess ever since his time at Michigan. I kind of thought he was just a glorified tight end. I thought he was big-bodied receiver who's never really going to get the ability to make himself open. And I think I've been proven wrong. 6 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. It feels like week after week we are seeing him on highlight videos pulling down some ridiculous one-hand catch in the end zone. Like he is awesome, and that's huge. If he's able to establish himself as a true wide receiver 1, that's huge for
That's huge for the Panthers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So I guess we can move on now. You ready?
Sure.
So Vikings-Jets, I remember talking about this game. You said this Vikings defense is going to give Sam Darnold fits, and it looks like they did exactly that.
Yeah. I don't want to extrapolate too much from this, just because we're still, I think, as a Two Kids in a Trench Coat podcast still pretty high on Sam Darnold,
Yeah.
but this is not what you're looking for.
No,
Do you guys think this is more about Sam Darnold or the Vikings defense?
Vikings defense for
Same.
sure. I just think they're so good. And then going against a rookie quarterback, you're obviously just gonna naturally you'll exploit all of his or a good chunk of his weaknesses, and it seems like that's what they did.
Yeah, I think people kind of forgot how good Minnesota's defense was. I think they haven't really shown up thus far in the season. I think they've definitely not looked up to form, but this was a coming out party for them.
This Jets offense is nothing.
Nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, exactly. They're pretty solid. So.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is a not season defining because I don't think they're going to take that much joy in picking off a rookie quarterback 3 times. But this is a proving moment for the Vikings.
Yeah, they're the Vikings defense is back. Texas is back.
Bingo.
Tiger is back. It's all coming together.
It's
guys.
all coming together.
Halloween is back.
Cam Newton's back.
Yep.
Everything's coming together, guys. But yeah, this was a little bit of a disappointing game from Darnold. Finished with 17 for 42 for 206, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Sounds eerily similar to our boy Josh Rosen.
Yeah. I still think Sam Darnold probably had a better game though.
Oh yeah, me too. Oh, and guess a much better defense.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm cutting Darnold much more slack than I am Rosen.
Yeah. For sure.
And so yeah, this was not a fantastic game from Darnold, but you're playing from behind the entire game. This is still one of the league's elite units. I'm not gonna extrapolate too much from this.
No.
Moving on to the Vikings though.
Yeah.
Just more their offense. I think we kind of harped enough on their defense. Again, exactly what you needed to see. There had been some concerns surrounding this unit coming into the year, especially coming into this week. I think we've all kind of grown a little bit weary of Cousins, and I don't know. Personally, I had real concerns whether they made the right call. But this was a solid game. This is exactly what you want from a veteran quarterback and with his solid stable of weapons like him.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins definitely seems to be getting it together in these past couple of weeks. He's still doing that weird touchdown dance. Now the whole team is in on it.
Yeah. I'm not really sure about that one. I've yet to hear a true meaning for what that's behind.
Yeah, me either. But as long as Kirk Cousins and the Vikings keep doing that stupid touchdown dance, obviously something is going right because it means they're scoring. So
that makes a lot of sense. So Kirk Cousins keep doing that weird stuff.
Yeah, that was the turning point. Is that dance unlocked everything for Kirk Cousins?
Bingo. Moving on, I think we can both agree this might have been the most exciting game of the week.
I would agree with that. Patriots knocking off the Bears in Chicago, 38-31. This was a back and forth game. The Bears had a 10-point lead at one point in the first half, and just I don't know if you want to call it a special teams error by the Bears or just a great special teams play by the Patriots. That block punt though seemed to really be the turning point in that game, and the Bears were playing catch up the rest of the way.
Yeah, it kind of feels like New England's game plan every week. You know, we're gonna do enough offense to survive, and then we're gonna get some wonky touchdowns, or we're gonna get some wonky plays that put us ahead. You know, this feels like New England through and through. But yeah, pulling out the win in this one. I think the craziest play of the game though was on the final one, where Trubisky absolutely heaved the ball, got it all the way down to the 1. Kevin White made a ridiculous catch, and then was unable to stretch into the end zone, and it was amazing. It was everything I hoped for a final play and more.
Yep. This is 2 weeks in a row where we have a almost really cool last play of the game, and just neither of them work out.
Exactly, and honestly, they both create equally compelling storylines by failing. The fact that they were both so cool and so close, yet both failed, is incredible, and makes me very happy.
Yep. So I got a good look at Mitch Trubisky last week against the Dolphins, and then this week again. I'm starting to stray away from your opinion that he's bad. I feel like if you're consistently putting up, 40, 28, 31, then you're not a bad quarterback, or at least you're a good game manager, and that's something I'm starting to see a little more from Mitchell Trubisky. Especially, I don't want to say he's a game manager with his legs, but he has shown some mobility I did not know he possessed in the past couple of weeks.
Definitely, I want to echo that. His ability to use his legs and get out of the pocket and create meaningful yardage is something I did not anticipate coming this year from Mitch Trubisky.
No, the one play, it was like 2nd and 5. The line of the game was the 3, and then the Patriots had Trubisky back at the 30, and then he scored. He ran 71 yards?
71 yards.
That play was just... It was fun to watch. It was kind of frustrating, just looking at the New England defense being like, guys, what are you doing? He's at the 30.
It looked like a peewee football play.
Yeah, the line of scrimmage was at the 8. And, it just... weird. It was fun, though. And then Trubisky did have some other real big runs. He had one, I forget who it was, but he dropped a guy with a juke.
I think it looked like McCourty to me.
Yeah.
But whoever it was, they should forever hide their face. Because if you ever get dropped by Mitchell Trubisky, you should probably just retire. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. But yeah, I'm curious to see how teams react to this sort of game from Trubisky, because to me the obvious answer is place much more of an emphasis on his ability to get out of the pocket.
Yeah.
Like I'm curious to see if that was part of the reason that he struggled kind of through the air versus New England, is that they were dropping so many guys into cover, and that's why he had so many avenues to run through. I'm very curious to see how defenses react to this.
Yep, that's something we can definitely talk about on our preview podcast for Week 8 coming up in a couple of days here. For now, though, I think it's safe to move on to Colts and Bills. It was 24-0 Colts at halftime, and I said to Jacob, hey, didn't you pick the Bills in this game? So we went back and checked, and I picked the Bills in this game that they lost 37-5. What do you think of this? Aside from my bad take.
Personally, this is kind of what I saw coming. I think Derek Anderson's just the absolute worst. He is a dumpster fire. It's somehow an improvement over Nathan Peterman, which is incredible. But he still was 20 for 31 with 175 yards and 3 picks.
Yep.
So really not that much better.
Yeah, I just had so little faith in the Colts defense and a good amount of faith in the Bills defense. I'm just thinking, the Bills would score enough and the Colts offense would just not be able to get going, and that's not what happened. Andrew Luck is now the leader in touchdown passes in the league. So I was super wrong about this.
Yeah, I will give you credit. I did not anticipate this sort of game from the Colts offense. I definitely thought this would be a 17 to 12, 17 to 10 sort of game.
Yeah, had this game been like 12-5, I'd feel a lot better about what I had said last week.
Sure.
But man, this 37 by the Colts, this makes the Bills look bad. It makes the Colts look good. For real, it makes them look good. I don't think they are good.
Yeah, I think the Colts offense is
it's passable.
Not quite as good as they showed in this game, but something. I think there's sprinkles of life there. I think they found something real with Marlon Mack. He was really impressive in this game. I did not anticipate him going off for what he did, running for 126 yards on 19 carries and a touchdown. That's really impressive.
Eric Ebron seems to be settling in there as well.
Eric Ebron has finally found his home, I think, which is really nice to say. I think he was... I don't know if it was too much pressure in Detroit or the expectations or just a overall lack of communication between him and Stafford, but he has settled in really nicely here in Indy. Only going for 3 catches and 31 yards this game, but before his past 2 games have been just dominant. He was the number 1 option in the Colts offense, and he was... I think that was something we will see much more.
Yeah, definitely a slow week for him this week, but I like what I've been seeing. And I hope for him, and just because he's fun to watch, that he keeps it up.
Definitely. Definitely.
Anything else you'd like to say about this really awesome Colts and Bills game?
Yeah, not a whole lot to take from this one. Derek Anderson's bad. That's what I'll leave the listeners with.
Yeah, he really let me down. So moving on now to a game between teams we thought might be good, but now might actually be bad. That is Tampa Bay and Cleveland. Tampa knocks off the Browns 26-23 in overtime. This game could have ended in regulation, but Chandler Catanzaro pushed the game-winning field goal, and it went into overtime, where Chandler Catanzaro made the game-winning field goal from 59 yards. It looked like it was going well to the right,
yeah.
And then it just came back in. My favorite part was Baker Mayfield's reaction. I think that was probably everybody's favorite part, if we're being real.
Just stunned. Just an absolute look of shock. And it was phenomenal.
I mean, we both said before, we're like, yo, he's missing this, right? And it looked like he did. And then it came back. I don't know.
Yeah, that's unreal. One stat correction. I told you an incorrect stat. Pat Mahomes leads the league in touchdowns.
Oh, man.
I told you that stat before they had played on Sunday, so I will give you credit. when you heard that stat, it was correct, but it's now Pat Mahomes, 22-20. But just wanted to correct that.
Well, thank you for pointing out the factual error.
That's on me. Going back to this Bucks Browns game, I don't think either team wanted to win. I don't think either coach was prepared to win this game, and somehow Dirk Cutter pulled it out. I'm not really sure how he did it, but this was a wild freaking game.
Yeah. Honestly, once we hit overtime, I was fully prepared for a tie.
I really wanted a tie.
Especially 2 ties in the same
Browns.
season for the Browns. That would have been fun.
Oh my gosh.
Other than that, I just don't know what to take away from this game because this seems like 2 teams that don't really know what's going on amongst themselves.
God no. Neither of these franchises has any idea. Okay, the Browns actually have some direction.
Yeah.
The Bucks have zero idea where they're headed.
Yeah.
This is a franchise with no roadmap for where their team lies in the next 5 years. They are just flotsam lying there in the sea. They are just at the beck and call of the whims of other teams. This is just not a joke of a franchise, but a inept franchise.
Yep. I think we did learn something about the Browns with their comeback. I think that was really encouraging to see from Baker Mayfield and the rest of that young offense.
Definitely.
And I think we learned that the Bucks just are really bad and blow leads to the Browns.
Definitely. Big game for Nick Chubb.
Yep.
Clearing the way with the car. I think everyone but Hugh Jackson realized that Nick Chubb was their best running back, and so I think John Dorsey literally had to take the keys out of Hugh Jackson's hand. That'd be like, okay, if you're not going to play Nick Chubb, we will literally trade his other options. Like, I think that's what it came down to, and he impressed. 18 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. That is an impressive first start.
Agreed.
And so
I'm excited to see more of him too.
Exactly, they have something serious there. So that's really impressive.
Yep. So we can move on now, I guess, to Lions and Dolphins. We watched all of this game too. Brocktober did not go as well in week 2. Dolphins lost a good chunk of their weapons by the end of the game. They were down to 2 receivers, and just seemed like they were playing catch up the whole time. So, something I said after this loss is it sucks as a fan, but there's just so much more parity in the league this season so far that I'm not devastated. This is the same Lions team that beat the Patriots and the Packers. So
really, those are their 2 wins coming into this game.
Yeah,
That's
this
incredible.
definitely is not the worst loss as a fan. I lost a little bit of confidence in Brock Osweiler this week, but not a lot, just based on the fact that this entire team is decimated by injuries.
Yeah, this has been a brutal season for the Dolphins. They just cannot catch a break, whether it's on the offensive line or in the receiving core and their linebacking core. It just feels like everyone's dropping like flies.
Yeah, and that's it's looking like it's starting to hurt them a lot. Those missing pieces, I would say, would have been huge in the second half of that game against the Bengals. Barely beating Chicago. That's a good win, but still, I think with those missing pieces, that game's a little further apart in terms of scoring.
Sure. Yeah.
I think the Dolphins probably do a little better just based on what I saw from the Bears, but that was last week anyway. Just injuries really hurting this Dolphins team right now.
Yeah, it really is a shame. Let's not take away, though, from what the Lions were able to do.
Yep.
I think this was a super impressive showing for the Lions offense, and especially from rookie running back Kerryon Johnson.
Yep, another 100-yard game from him. I think I don't want to take away all the credit, but injuries on Miami's defensive line have definitely allowed him to break into linebackers in the secondary. So when your safeties are the best run stoppers, that's obviously not a great thing.
No, not a great message.
But still a really good game for Kerryon Johnson, super productive, and the Lions knew exactly how to exploit the Dolphins' defensive weaknesses.
1,000%. I mean, Kerryon 158 yards for an average of 8.3 a carry. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He was just dynamic running the ball. It was between the tackles, between the guards, outside the tackles. He was, no matter where they threw the ball, he was incredible. He was awesome in this game, and that's a super surprising, not surprising. That's a super encouraging sign for this Lions offense. It's lacked a legit RB1. It feels like since Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
Which is
not that
disgusting to say.
Yeah. So I like seeing the running game being reestablished in Detroit. I think that's cool. I think that takes a lot of the load off Matt Stafford. He's only 30.
I know, right?
That's just weird to think about.
Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Haha.
Thanks for using my nickname.
I got you. But yeah, this is kind of a real disappointing game for the Dolphins in general. Might be indicative of what we're going to see for the rest of the year. Because we might have to reframe our perspective on the Dolphins just because of how decimated they are by injuries.
Yep, and the fact that their best offensive weapon, Albert Wilson, now likely done for the season, that just does not help at all.
No, it does not.
Man,
That's a depressing end. But let's head on to our next game. What game you want to talk about next?
I suppose we can go to the Saints and the Ravens. Drew Brees beats Baltimore for the first time in his career in one of the more weird ways possible.
Yeah.
That being Justin Tucker, who has never missed from 33 yards or closer in his entire NFL career, pushed the extra point wide right, and it cost the Ravens the game.
That was crazy. That was an absolutely bonkers ending. Just because Justin Tucker is the pinnacle of consistency. He is the definition of clutch. And to miss his first extra point of his career and college, didn't miss one for all of college. I doubt he missed one in high school, for being honest.
Yeah.
So the first missed extra point of his life was to lose the game.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's gotta suck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing.
But yeah, we saw Lamar Jackson's first touchdown this week.
Yep,
that
was
was
pretty
fun.
Cool. That was real cool.
Joe Flacco had no part in the trick plays. He pretty much just stood there. I think that's what they kind of want the quarterback to do, for being honest.
I think that's what they want Joe Flacco to do.
Jay Cutler was not involved in the one Wildcat play the Dolphins ran last year.
He was not interested in being involved. Joe Flacco just has this statue move with him where he just stands there and just tries not to get hurt. Jay Cutler looked like he actively despised being out on the field for a Wildcat play.
Yeah, hands on the hips and everything.
Just overall disgust.
Yep.
But enough about Jay Cutler. This Ravens, that's a brutal loss for the Ravens.
Yep. Helps as a Dolphins fan just in terms of making sure all these AFC teams have similar records. I'm not sure how great that's looking moving forward, but I still liked what I saw from the Ravens. I think this is a tough Saints team to beat. The Ravens were favored in this game. I'm not sure how accurate that was from Las Vegas, but I like how the Ravens hung in there with the Saints. I don't know. I say they're contenders in the North.
They have to be. With that.
Just based on how poor the Steelers have been, and
exactly,
it's weird.
The North looks super wide open, and I don't think there's a better team to take than the Ravens. I think the Ravens have shown they're the most complete team in the AFC North thus far, and this game does nothing to disprove that. I mean, as much as I personally despise Joe Flacco, throwing up 23 for 39 with 279 and 2 touchdowns, that's a hell of a ball game.
Yeah, that's a pretty good day for Joe Flacco.
Definitely can't have that clutch touchdown with 10 seconds left to set up the opportunity for Justin Tucker to miss this kick.
Yeah, Joe Flacco did everything he had to do for the Ravens to win this game, and just unfortunately not everyone else did.
Notably one person is kind of screwed up.
I'm still gonna cut Justin Tucker a ton of slack here because if that's your first career miss, then it's fine.
Props to you. Yeah, that's your first one. Ravens defense showed out again. Only holding the Saints to 24 points to me is still pretty impressive.
That seems like a good amount of points, but based on what the Saints have been scoring against other defenses throughout this season so far, 24 definitely seems kind of low.
Exactly. Holding Kamara to 64 yards. Michael Thomas only got 69.
Nice.
They are clearly placing emphasis on reducing the ability of these elite New Orleans weapons, and they succeeded.
Yep. I agree with you completely.
I think we learned more about the Ravens in this game than the Saints. Sorry.
Yep. Saints look consistent. They look like the Saints team we know, just going against a tougher defense, and they, I guess, were barely the better team, but they were the better team.
Their defense has taken a step back this year. The Saints. They blew. I think it was Marshawn Lattimore blew easy coverage on that John Brown touchdown.
He was wide open.
Exactly.
In the back of the end
He
zone,
was wide open. They lost Kenny Vaccaro in free agency, and I think that's hurt them more than they anticipated. I'm not really liking what they're doing in the secondary, so I'm a little worried about this Saints team.
I'm not too worried yet. I think their offense is powerful enough that they'll still, I don't say easily win the South, but comfortably win the South.
Yeah, me too. I think their offense is dynamic enough that I think they're going to be able to kind of cruise to a division championship there. But like if we're talking about serious Super Bowl aspirations, that's their secondary specifically is going to really hinder their chances.
So moving on now, we talked about the Cowboys a little earlier in the podcast, just acquiring Amari Cooper, who now has back-to-back bye weeks.
That was a finesse, if we're being honest. That was such a smart move by he thought about that.
Yeah.
Like, if they asked him, hey, how do you feel about that? Like we have offers from the Cowboys, Seahawks, and Chargers. Where do you Yeah. He definitely thought, cop 2 bye weeks out of this one. I guess I'll take it. So yeah, that was a move for sure. But yeah, now he's on the Cowboys.
Yep. But anyway, Cowboys playing the Redskins this Sunday. Another game ending on a missed kick.
Yeah, that was kind of shocking. I think at the beginning of the year when the Cowboys cut Dan Bailey, we were all kind of confused and a little bit in shock.
What are you doing?
And then this Brett Maher guy has been fantastic. He is their mayor. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, but whatever it is, he's been so very solid for them. I don't know. I couldn't think of an adjective to describe how he's been, but he's been dynamite for them.
The pinnacle of consistency.
Perfect. There we go.
There was a controversial call in this game, but while they were lined up to kick, the long snapper supposedly moved, causing the defensive player to jump offside, and it pushed the kick back 5 yards. And it looked like, I don't believe this entirely, but it might have gone in if the kick was from 42 instead of 47, where it ended up going from.
Yeah, I actually believe that. I think it would have. It looked pretty convincing to me that it just would have sneaked past the upright, but God's cruel fate did not have the Cowboys win in his plans.
Nope. I agree that was probably a very poor call by the officials there. I don't know what they saw. I'm not sure if the NFL has come out with anything saying what happened.
The NFL is not, but the Cowboys long snapper has. His name is LP Lodecure. I don't know. I definitely butchered that. There's a 1,000% chance because it looks like French or something weird.
Yeah.
But regardless, I heard him talk, and he was like, "Yep, I've been doing that exact same motion for the last 12 years, and nobody's ever called it." Like these NFL players are creatures of habit, so I 1,000% believe that literally every day in practice he has practiced that exact same hand motion, that exact same twisting of the ball, and that exact same snap.
Yeah.
And for countless times that no official has ever complained, and then this is a rough time for it to start.
Yeah, for sure. Aside from that, did you really learn anything from this game though?
I don't think not anything that I was super surprised about. I think the Skins defense was impressive once again. I think they continue to be one of the more underrated units in the league. And just they shut down a Dallas offense that put up 40 points on who we thought was the best defense in the league last week.
Yeah.
And the Washington was able to hold them to 17. Dak not struggled, but a lot of his production came short. And through easy throws to Cole Beasley, that was kind of their whole offense. That was all they were really allowing. And so that's, to me, if that's what you're giving up, that's a fantastic game plan.
Yep. Something I was just super impressed with was Adrian Peterson's ability to still run the ball at this level. Last year with the Cardinals, we're like, oh, he's done, and then shows up in Washington this year. He doesn't look like the old Adrian Peterson, but he's definitely, I'd say, one of the more serviceable running backs so far in 2018.
Oh my God, yeah, he's been incredibly productive. It is, I mean, again, nothing will compare to the Adrian Peterson of old, but man, this is still a really productive running back. This is still probably like top 10 running back in the league. You know, he is churning out yards. He is moving piles. He is making people miss. He is awesome. He is a super steadying force for that Washington offense, and could single-handedly elevate this team overall to a different level than I think many people anticipated coming into the year.
Yeah, I think he has the potential to be someone like Frank Gore, who just plays until they're old. But he'll be better in his later years than Frank Gore was in his later years.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. Frank Gore was really solid with the Colts. I think
that is true.
I think we're kind of sleeping on how good Gore was with the Colts, but I like the comp. I think that's spot on. I think Peterson will continue. Will have a lengthy NFL career after this. That will include probably like 2 more stops.
Yeah,
if we're being honest.
I would not be shocked to see another 4, maybe even 5 years out of Frank Gore.
Yeah, I think out of Frank Gore and
Frank
Adrian
Gore.
Peterson. Yeah,
Frank Gore I think has some less, but Adrian Peterson for sure.
Yeah, this was a fantastic showing from Washington all around, and I'm really impressed. They might be the best team in that division. They might actually capture the NFC East crown, which would be wild thinking about coming into this year. But but they've shown me a lot more than I anticipated in Washington. So yeah, I'm ready to consider them as serious NFC East contenders.
Yep. Josh just showed us Frank Gore, 1,000-yard rusher in 2016. Was that?
2016.
Yep.
At the age of 33.
So that's pretty
last
impressive.
year he hit 961.
Yep.
It's impressive. Yeah, he's awesome, and I think Adrian Peterson can have a similar decline, if we even want to call it that.
A decline, just a plateau, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. A very, very slow and gracious decline.
Yeah. So moving on now to game on the West Coast, the Rams beat the Niners 39-10. I don't know what, I do know what to take away from this game is that the Rams are very good and the 49ers are not very good.
Way to really going out on a limb there.
Yeah. C.J. Beathard against the Packers, it was like, oh man, this isn't C.J. Beathard, this is like an actual quarterback. I'm like, oh, maybe that'll translate, especially at home against the Rams. Division rival might be some extra motivation there, and just nothing.
Yeah, literally nothing. He was god awful. 15 for 27, 170. Yeesh.
I think also we got to look at the San Francisco defense. They asked Todd Gurley before the game, what scares you about San Francisco's defense? And his answer was nothing. Nothing scared him about San Francisco's defense.
That is true. Todd Gurley, just another fantastic day of running the football.
Yeah, didn't get the yardage one might anticipate, but still racked up 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, another great day from Gurley. And I honestly don't think we learned anything from this game. I think this just confirmed what we already knew, that the Rams are going to be awesome and the Niners are playing for next year, which really sucks, which is really shame.
I know we've talked about this. I really do feel bad for the fans in that organization and Jimmy G and Kyle Shanahan and just
exactly everyone involved. This is a shame. This is a sucky first year of the Lynch, Shanahan, Garoppolo trio that I think could dominate the NFL in the coming years.
So I guess we can move on. Like we said, Rams good, Niners bad. So Chiefs Bengals, the Sunday night game. Arguably one of the Chiefs' tougher opponents so far this year, but made easy work of the Bengals.
These were two AFC division leaders, and this looked like a varsity team beating up on their JV.
Yeah.
This was just a bloodbath from the jump.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we should call this a disaster from Cincinnati or an outstanding performance from the Chiefs, but just every time I see Patrick Mahomes, who leads the league in touchdowns, not Andrew Luck, I don't know. I seriously think he might be the best quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah, I think we're coming to that point. Our discussion Sunday night is Patrick Mahomes the best quarterback in the league, and I retorted with second behind Rodgers, and simply if Rodgers was put in Andy Reid's scheme, I think he'd be putting up slightly better numbers.
Yeah.
But that's the only player I think who, if you switched places with Mahomes, who would be putting up better numbers than this.
And then I think you posed the question is, who would you rather have on your team right now? And I'm taking Patrick Mahomes in that scenario.
Oh man, maybe.
Thinking about like today and looking to the future, I'd rather have Mahomes.
Yeah.
Just because there's so much we don't know about him. I think we know a lot about Rodgers.
Yeah, that's
at least football-wise, we know what we're getting from Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
It just seems like with Mahomes, there's something new every week. So I love watching him play.
Me too. He's so much
so
fun
fun
to watch. He's so creative and dynamic, and just one of the most incredible talents I've ever seen. And
this is what I imagine like Joe Montana was like for our parents, or something like that.
Wow, that's a comparison right there, Sharp.
I mean, just like
no, I don't think that's
just like a young, thrilling quarterback who like just a completely new way of football.
You know, if I'm gonna be honest, who is probably the closest comp to this? Mike Vick.
I could see it.
I imagine what fans of the Chiefs are feeling right now is what Falcons fans were feeling in 2002,
someone who was
2001.
Just absolutely deadly with their legs and a gigantic arm.
Well, okay, less aesthetically, more of just someone who from the jump showed something that few other people in NFL history have possessed.
Yeah.
And for Mahomes, that's a combination of just his arm strength and accuracy and all that, but like
and
Vic,
voice.
And voice too, but and for Vic different. Vic was more leg. Like Vic was just an incredible athlete. That's a different conversation. Yeah. I think Mahomes is just unreal. I'm not really sure how you stop him. I'm not sure there is a scheme in the NFL that exists that can stop him, because in the era of football we have we find ourselves in, I don't think there's a way to stop Patrick Mahomes.
No, and that's pretty cool. Just being that guy that no one can figure out.
Yeah, that is really cool for fans of teams not in his division.
Yeah, for a guy that sounds like Kermit the Frog, he's pretty dominant on the football field.
Imagine how successful he will be once his balls drop. That's my question. Once his voice really deepens, that's when he'll really start to be slinging the football.
Yeah, it seems like the joke being that there are critics of Patrick Mahomes who said he was not going to be good because his voice is higher pitched than the rest of the quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to listen to him talk.
It is.
But,
it's real. Okay, no. It's really funny to listen to him
Yeah, it's really funny, but also I would mess with Patrick Mahomes.
If I'm seeing Patrick Mahomes in a parking lot, he's not the guy.
I'm not doing my Patrick Mahomes impression, which I have heard from multiple people that is kind of good.
It's pretty spot on.
I would not do that in front of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good call. I was listening to some interview, and he's like, yeah, whenever my head gets too big, people just bring up my voice, and that humbles me. And I thought, wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal. That all I have to do is just mention how you will sound like a
Yeah, you sound like you're 12.
Yeah, exactly. And people are, and that just deflates your ego. So that's kind of cool. Good to learn about Patrick Mahomes. If he ever gets too conceited,
we know how to
get to him. But yeah, back to the game specifically. This is disappointing if you're a Bengals fan.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
You were hoping to come into this game, even if you weren't going to win, like at least make this one competitive.
Yeah. Just you had that great win over Miami, and then that tough loss to the Steelers at the last second, and then to get blown out by the Chiefs right after that. That definitely sucks.
Yeah, that's a rough stretch. Dalton not, I think, what people were expecting, especially against a Kansas City offense that through 6 games had given up the most yards in NFL history for the first 6 games.
Yeah,
something ridiculous, and he only puts up 148 through the air. Yikes.
Yeah, I was really expecting a closer game. Just like you said, the fact that the Chiefs' defense is very bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know what went wrong. I was just disappointed by Andy Dalton and AJ Green and Tyler Boyd and everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
Kind of a letdown from the Bengals, if we're being honest, but none of that matters because Mahomes still balled out, and that was fun.
Exactly. I mean, the Bengals could have quadrupled their output, and they still wouldn't have won this game.
Exactly.
So I mean, at some point, there's only so much you can do.
Yep. So I guess we can finish out the week of games now with a funky Monday night game. The Falcons hang on to beat the Giants 23-20. I don't even know if "hang on's" a great word. That last touchdown from New York was kind of garbage time.
Yeah, this was much closer. I mean, this was much farther away than the score indicates. This was a much bigger blowout than a 23-20 game typically is. I
don't think we learned a lot about the Falcons. I think they've been consistent like they have been, and they did what they had to do to win. And they're actually winning games now, which is cool. It is the Giants. I'm not sure about the Falcons moving forward, but they still look like the better team in this case. Giants, if they go 1-15 this year, I would not be shocked at all. It just looks like a total crapshoot.
The Falcons are going to finish like 7-9. With no ever real shot at the playoffs, but are
always in the hunt.
Have enough crap teams on their schedule to artificially inflate their they have games coming up against the Browns and the Cowboys and the Cardinals. They're gonna beat up on these crap teams and win themselves out of a top 5 pick.
Yeah,
because right now they are bad enough to be there. Not that they still have a bunch of talent on their team, but they have enough injuries on the defensive side of the ball that if as an organization they were we should probably shut this one down and try and get Ed Oliver or or Christian Wilkins, one of these great defensive players in the draft, we could. But instead, I think they're going to keep churning out these wins over bad teams and finish with a semi-respectable record.
Yep. On the other sideline, I think the Giants have kind of, I don't want to say kind of given up because Eli Manning is still playing. So,
I think he's just their best option though. Like at this point,
I don't even know how true that is.
Kyle Lauletta!
Yeah, from Richmond. I just want to see someone from Richmond play in the NFL. Yeah, just the Giants, not a great game all around. Eli Manning is still playing. I don't know why.
1 yard away from 400 yards. How crazy is that?
Yeah, for Eli Manning I guess this does show how bad the Falcons are. Eli Manning almost threw for 400 yards.
Yeah.
But he still somehow looked awful.
Yeah, exactly. This is the first time I feel like in NFL history someone's thrown for 399 and we all as an NFL consensus
and we just still
can come to the agreement that he looked like garbage.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about the Giants at this point. I don't think Pat Shurmur is a one and done.
No, me either.
I think that's just the fact that he was kind of handed Eli Manning and said, "You're starting this guy."
Yeah, I think that's the reality of it. I think they're going to be bad enough to get the quarterback of their choosing in this year's draft, and if they hit, they have a dynamic quarterback running back combo for the next 15 years, which I don't want to give them too much credit, but that's some team planning right there. If you didn't like Darnold and you really thought Barkley was a generational talent, which I think he's kind of proven to be.
Yep.
Props to them, I guess.
I love the draft. I could talk about that all day. But for now, I think it's safe to start wrapping up and go with our players of the week: offense, defense, special teams. I guess we can start on offense as we always do. Who you got?
This was a tough week for me. I almost went with Colts running back Marlon Mack, but I decided instead to go with Panthers quarterback Cam Newton. Talked about it during the recap of their game, but just to refresh, won 25 for 39, 269 and 2 touchdowns, and most importantly orchestrated a really impressive 17-point comeback in the fourth quarter versus the Eagles. I'm sorry, Josh. I hate to rub salt in the wound like this, but what I saw from Cam was super impressive, and I really hope he carries over for the next couple weeks, because if that is a Cam Newton we see for the rest of the season, that incrementally raises the Panthers ceiling. So I'm excited to see what this Panthers offense can do with a serious force at quarterback position like Cam. So I think like I said, their ceiling got incrementally higher.
Yep. For me, for the second time in 3 weeks, I'm picking someone who aided in defeating the Dolphins. That is Lions tight end John Roberts.
Michael Roberts,
excuse me, not Supreme Court Justice John Roberts. Lions tight end Michael Roberts. Real breakout game for him, 2 touchdowns, just super instrumental, disrupted throughout the entire game. I'm always for guys we don't hear a lot about with these breakout performances, and that's what I saw from Michael Roberts this week.
Yeah, definitely. I think we kind of talked about Eric Ebron earlier, that it's been hard for the Lions to truly incorporate a tight end into their offense, but they might have found one now. He was a huge factor down near the goal line for the Lions and really provided that steadying presence that I guess their other receivers couldn't. As much as I love their collection of Golden Tate and Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay, you need that big body presence in the red zone, and that's what they found in Michael Roberts.
Yeah, and he's definitely he did last week that he's capable of being that guy. So good for him. Moving on the defense now, you want to go?
Yes, I will give you my defensive player of the week, and it comes from the Houston Texans, and that's the Honey Badger Tyrann Mathieu. Another fantastic game for the Texans free agent acquisition. He's kind of not single-handedly, but he has played a massive part in the steadying of this Texans team, I feel like. He has provided some competency to a defense that last year showed flashes of dominance, but never really put it all together. And this year has really come together as a cohesive unit. Finished today with 4 tackles, a sack, and a pick. So just an all-around great game from Mathieu, and I really like the stability he brings to the Texans defense.
Yep, I agree with that completely. I think going into the season, you have questions surrounding the eliteness of J.J. Watt. Obviously, those are gone now, but then you bring in one of the top safeties in the game like Tyrann Mathieu, and that kind of, I guess, eases the pain of the potential of losing or the drop-off of J.J. Watt, which obviously didn't happen.
But yeah, exactly. They're more than happy to reap the benefits. But yeah, that's a great point. Bringing in Matthew is kind of their insurance policy, and everything worked out perfectly.
Exactly. And so now they have both of those players.
Exactly, and that's really cool. I think that substantially raises their long-term potential as a possible Super Bowl contender.
For me, on the defensive side of the ball, from a non-Super Bowl contender, but still a great game nonetheless, that is defensive lineman Von Miller. 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, just messed up Josh Rosen all night.
He really did. We talked about at the top of the show, he just strangled the Cardinals offense. He almost single-handedly was able to stop everything and anything they wanted to do.
Yep.
He was just a constant presence in the Cardinals backfield. And I don't know, this was a rough showing from the Cardinals offensive line, but Von Miller was godlike.
Yeah, just super impressive night from him. I love Von Miller. I think he's a fun player and a fun person. I'm happy he's finally figured it out. I know last week we said, he's kind of coming back after struggling for a couple weeks there. I think Von Miller's back. Texas is back. Tiger is back. Cam is back. The Vikings are back. Yeah, it's just...
Everything's back.
Yeah.
It's a great time to be alive, folks. And I think our final part of the week is special teams player. Who are you trying to honor?
Man, it almost seemed like we were going to be making him the butt of all our jokes this week, but I have decided to award Chandler Catanzaro the Special Teams Player of the Week for knocking in that 59-yarder that we all thought was just guaranteed to miss. He hit it and won his team the game in overtime.
Yeah, that was so awesome. I mean, it looked like curving out and then just a beautiful little hitch right back in, right nabbed that bottom right corner of the posts, and it was just Tampa Bay went wild, and that was so much fun to watch.
Yep.
My special teams players, I'm a fudge the rules a little. I'm actually gonna give it to 3 players, all on the Patriots, and that's Cordero Patterson, Dante Hightower, and Kyle Van Noy. Cordero Patterson responsible for a fumble in the first half that gave the Bears fantastic field position, and then redeemed himself later in the game with a over 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Made some players look absolutely silly, and proved why he is stuck around in this league. I think not the only trait that has made him attractive, but by far his most appealing trait is his ability to take any kick back, and he showed that once again on Sunday.
For sure.
And then the second part of this award, Dante Hightower and Kyle Van Noy teaming up for a blocked punt and a return that for a touchdown. Dante Hightower with the one with the block, Van Noy with the scoop and score. Pivotal moment in the Bears-Pats game, and ultimately it looked like gave the Pats the victory. So huge moment for the Patriots overall.
Yep. Special teams a really huge impact on that game.
It's no coincidence, I think, every year that the Patriots have the best special teams. I think that's consistently they have shown the emphasis, a organization-wide emphasis on creating the best special teams environment in the league, and that shines through time and time.
I mean, we said last week how Belichick said 600 words, about his punter.
Yeah.
So you're right. They definitely commit to special teams there in New England.
And it pays dividends in games like this. This is games most other probably 28 other NFL franchises lose, if we're being honest. Like this
just based off to where the Bears performed?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most other franchises lose this game.
They had to get super specific with their scheme in order to win, and that's what they did. They won it on special teams.
Yep, it was an impressive showing. But so that's my special teams. Already nailed yours. A very successful week overall, I think, for special teams, and we hope to see more of it in Week 8, because who doesn't love special teams touchdowns?
I love special teams touchdowns a whole bunch. So I think you're right. That about wraps up our recap of Week 7 on Two Kids in a Trench Coat. We'll be back in a couple of days with our Week 8 preview. We'll talk to you then.